Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes, and we are looking once again at Dorian. I've got the observations here from the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and Cape Hatteras is reporting an east-southeast wind at 57, gusting to 79. The winds along the Outer Banks are every bit of 40 to 50 miles an hour sustained, with gusts up to hurricane force. The actual storm is it's skimming the Outer Banks rather effectively. The eye wall is right about there, just about touching. And if you look at those wind bars, and the radar echoes just came on, there's where the center of circulation is. So it's just pretty much straddling the Outer Banks, and it's also been moving to the east, or east-northeast. If you look here on the satellite loop, the pressure in the storm has actually dropped a bit, but it continues to expand, and that has brought clouds up north of New York City. You see where the cloud line is, running up into the Hudson Valley. And in the last 4 or 5 hours, it looks like the eye has been moving east or east-northeast rather than due northeast, and that limits how far north the precipitation is going to get. And on the enhanced satellite loop, seeing a bit of development this morning, coming off of the Outer Banks. You're getting a bit more of the circulation over water, and of course the Gulf Stream is in this position here just offshore. So now you're seeing the eye pushing out over the warmer water. So we'll probably see a little bit of fluctuation in the strength, but it's in that process of starting to transition over. It's a slow process. You still have a well-defined core, but again, the look of the storm is different. Now, I've got the water vapor imagery here because on this satellite loop, you can actually see the trough in action, moving across the Great Lakes and taking Dorian and picking it up and sending it out to the northeast. So we can get this down here on the bottom of the screen and get rid of these, get rid of the pictures here. Move me up, erase, there we go. So right here you see the drier air that's moving northwest to southeast. So here's your shortwave trough that is coming down, and actually when you look at the drier air aloft being drawn southward, starts to get entrained in the circulation. You see that erosion of the hurricane on the western side. But the bottom line is that this is the upper flow that is pretty much, at least initially, kicking it out to the east-northeast, and then eventually it's going to be moving on to the northeast. So the Hurricane Center's forecast remains pretty much the same. Tropical storm warnings. We still have hurricane warnings up for the North Carolina coast, up to touching a small portion of southeastern Virginia. And we've got tropical storm warnings up to Fenwick, Delaware. Then a big gap for the area from Delaware up through Rhode Island. So much of the area that I cover, no big issues today. And then we have tropical storm warnings up for a brushing for southeastern New England. And we are looking at warnings that are up for parts of Nova Scotia. We've got tropical storm warnings up there, and hurricane warnings up as well for almost all of Nova Scotia except the North Shore, and tropical storm warnings that are up for Newfoundland. Now, again, it's the technical nature of the storm. It's going to make a transition to a post-tropical system, much like the way Sandy did, and many others have. But that's just a meteorological point. The bottom line is that that Nova Scotia is going to experience hurricane force winds, certainly hurricane force gusts. Here's the recon this morning that is in Dorian. We're just now seeing it flying through the eye, which if you look closely, it's sitting just offshore. Seeing some winds between 96 And just looking at the wind barbs, see a couple of them in the 96 to 113 knot range, but certainly every bit of 83 to 96 knots in the lighter purple as opposed to the darker purple. I think there's one white wind barb that I can make out in there. So there still might be a wind at about 90 at the bottom of that range there, that 96 to 113. The radars showing the eye moving very close to Cape Hatteras. You could see the very strong bands that are on the north side of the eye, and also starting to see a little bit of wraparound again coming on around on the south side. I'm going to take you up the coast, and this is as of 8 a.m. We've got rain extending up through southern Delaware and going back west, not quite to Richmond, but you see where the back edge of that rain is. When we go to the Dover radar, there's a little bit of shower activity that has moved into southern New Jersey, a little moisture that's run up to the north. The problem up here is the fact that there's a lot of dry air that is overhead, and this band is going to come into that dry air and just pretty much evaporate and dry up. So I think that's what the plan is today. So our original idea was that for coastal New Jersey, maybe Long Island, where you wind up with getting close to the back edge of the rain, or maybe even getting into it for a couple of hours. But after that, it moves away to the northeast and just north and west of New York City. I mean, there's really going to be little or nothing out of this. And as far as the winds are concerned, maybe a little bit of gustiness along the coast, fringe gales maybe touching the coastline, and that's it. A bigger impact, I believe, for southeastern New England, where you get into some of the heavier bands for about a 6-hour period or so, and certainly going to get into some gales. And then from there on to Nova Scotia, where the center passes very close to the south shore of Nova Scotia on the overnight runs at least, and bringing with it some very, very strong winds. And just to extend this, we'll go to the southeastern Canada view on tropicaltidbits.com, and you can see it here. This is the time frame here is Saturday morning, approaching Saturday morning, peak activity Saturday morning into the afternoon, and then over Nova Scotia, and then the low center passes just to the west of Newfoundland. So you get a shot of rain, but very strong gusty winds that are going to occur. And the wind map, we'll put the winds up, and you can see here the strong winds moving over Nova Scotia and over Newfoundland. The purple area is sustained of about 50 knots, so you certainly could get gusts every bit of 70, 75 miles per hour. Would not be at all a surprise. All right, let's go back home and cover the weekend, because once Dorian is gone, we're going to have some pretty decent weather this weekend. About the only thing I'm a little, minor concern is that there is a weak little trough that comes through here through the northeast Saturday afternoon with perhaps a few clouds, not showing any an isolated shower. So for the rest of today here, it's cloudy, a period of rain for the immediate coast of New Jersey and maybe touching the south shore of Long Island. Everybody else might see a sprinkle or two. And if you're going north and west, Washington, D.C., up into Maryland and southeastern Pennsylvania and south central Pennsylvania, really nothing at all. And then we will see improving weather conditions overnight. A mix of sun and clouds for tomorrow, temperatures in the 70s. It looks like it's going to be a really nice day Sunday, partly to mostly sunny with high temperatures generally in the upper 60s to some middle 70s. And we're going to still be on the cool side on Monday with partly to mostly sunny skies, a little system going by well to the south, and maybe some high clouds that push up northward from there. But other than that, it should be a fine day on Monday. And we're probably going to stretch the dry conditions into Tuesday. The next cold front really isn't due here until late Wednesday night, at which point we will be getting a few showers. So overall, the weekend looks pretty good for everybody from Northeast Virginia to southern New England. We'll move Dorian along today to the northeast, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland for Saturday into Saturday night. And then finally, it goes to the Atlantic graveyard. So website posts coming up later today. We have our YouTube live stream tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Joe Rayo will probably be joining me for that, so do tune in to my YouTube channel, Joe Cioffi. And if you haven't subscribed to it, subscribe to it. It's absolutely free. Download my free weather app on Google Play or on the App Store, Joe Cioffi on the search, or meteorologist Joe Cioffi. There's a link on Facebook. And download the new Angry Ben weather app from my partner, Ben Scott, Angry Ben, the Angry Weatherman. And that's available on Google Play for Android devices, still not available yet for iPhones. Have a great day, everybody.